Okay, welcome back to part 2 in the torch modelling project, Solidworks based. So here is the CAD we've put together so far in part 1. There's something we did in part 1 that's not quite right. So you can see this rib is not touching the outer body, the top rib. I'm going to try and fix this so we can go back into boss extrude for this particular part. And here we're in the sketch edit mode. So it's this line here that I'm not happy with. It's supposed to be hidden within the body, but there's a bit of a gap and it's not right. So I want to take this blue line and I want to make it collinear with this section here. It's not really going fully constrained. It's not moving into position. Let's try something with the other line. I think we might need to delete it because it's a spline, and splines are a bit weird. And if you replace a spline with a straight line, sometimes they start to conform. So a straight line with no funny geometry in it. Pick the line, pick the entity I want to constrain it to, make it collinear A, and it goes. So it's basically gone back where I want it to. And if we look around, you can see it's fully intersected with the outer body, and that's what I wanted. Just have a look at the rear just to see if there's anything else. I think I'm fairly happy now. Okay, so we can continue. So we're going to add some detail in this section. So we're going to look at the switch mount. So here you can see, grayed out, we have a template sketch, which I put together before I modelled anything, just so I could see everything that I wanted to put into the model for sizing purposes. It's also really useful for drawing out derivative sketches. So we're drawing on the top, as you can see was highlighted in blue. So I'm basically going to create a rectangular hole in the body of this part. So I'm matching up to my template sketch length, but I've got to work out the width because I've not put any template sketches in to tell me what the width of this part is. I decided I didn't need it in this model. You might need it in other models. So I'm now going to cut extrude. I know I want to remove this piece of material. I know I want to take out the entire, well, I'd like to go down to a set depth. So I picked a point, I picked a vertex to go down to. And I need now to draw a secondary rectangle, and I need to figure out how far to take it. So I should be able to take it at least to the edge of the switch. Because the switch is going to cover up the hole, but I need something to retain it in place. Otherwise the switch is just going to fall out. This is going to make a bit more sense when we add the switch. But for now I'm just showing you how I would lay up the housing mount. So it's really annoying when this happens. Okay, I thought there was something wrong with the constraint, but it seems to have worked. So we're offsetting 2 mil from each end. Let's make this 7 mil wide. So, and then we're going to take away a bit of material over extrude cut in the features panel. So let's finish this. So there we go. So we've got our mounting point for our switch. So we can then, I think we've got some other geometry, we've got some other internal detail to add that goes with the switch. We have some ribs and protrusions that we're going to use to mount some of the rest of our geometry to. So let's sketch on the right plane. We're doing pretty much everything on almost everything on the right plane. Let's take off the perspective view. Seems to have disappeared. There we go. We can turn it off. Sometimes perspective view is useful. Sometimes it's not. In this instance, I want to just look straight onto the part. So in my template sketch 1, I basically put together some geometry to follow. So for my inner detail for holding various components. So I've just gone in and I've created another sketch on the right plane, and I've done a convert entities to convert everything on the template sketch. And now I'm just kind of cleaning up my derivative sketch so that I only have the geometry that I want to edit, I want to use. So I'm getting rid of anything that looks like might be related to a metal contact that I modeled into the template sketch. Let's get rid of that. So just getting rid of any geometry that's going to get in the way. At this stage. So just picking out internal features that I want to add in. There's a line there that didn't look right. So there we go. So just derive from the template sketch. So let's let's perform an extrusion. Sorry for the wait. I was considering my next move. Trying to do this in real time as we're recording. Sometimes things don't go perfectly. So I just found some geometry I wanted to get rid of. So now, okay, so here we go. Boss extrude up to surface 1, then up to surface in the second direction. Yeah. I think we're happy with that. Okay. I think you can start to see how this the plastic housing is about to be split. Okay, I wanted to detail this piece of geometry, but I couldn't draw it in the same sketch as the other parts because it's going to intersect a couple of planes, so I need to really kind of like mess around with this individually. So in one direction, so I've picked a face, and that face happens to be on the outside. So it's the only way I'm going to really match this up. I can do the same thing on the other side. It's not going. The component's not going to go through the outside, as you can see here. I needed an external reference for modeling this component. Okay, so you can see the detail forming. So various ribs, catches, location points. Okay, so let's continue with the torch model by looking at the screw thread that we're going to mount our cap to. So template sketch 3, as you can see, has some detail for the thread section. So we can use this. We need to first offset a plane. So we're going to create some reference geometry offset from the front plane. It's parallel the front plane, and it needs to touch one of our teeth, the forward tooth, because the forward tooth is going to be part of the main body of the device. So on this plane, well, at least on the right plane, we can convert using the template sketch and delete the geometry we don't want to use. So we want this tooth. We've created plane 4, which we're going to use to help us make the thread profile. So we need a circle, and it's touching, it's intersecting the very corner. This is very important because we're about to do a spiral. So curves, helix and spiral. So you can see our helix is way off from 1 revolution. So we need to change the details. We need the helix to start in line with our template sketch we just produced. So 90 looks like it's starting in line. We want way more than 1 revolution, and we want a very small, much smaller pitch. So we tried 5 coils, and here's 3.15 to the pitch. Pitch being the distance between thread sections. Okay, so it's like an interesting path, spiraling path. So in the sweep feature, select the sketch entity, then select the helical spiral as the path, and we'll basically, using the 2 geometries, rotate a thread. Okay, So you can see we have our basic thread, but we now need to do some finishing for this thread. So we're not going to have a harsh start. There's going to be a bit of a lead in, so I've applied a fillet. And we need to fillet the faces because it's not going to be any sharp corners on this piece of threading. So there we go, we've got some detail added. So that's part one of our thread. Part two, I'll show you how to do part two when we come to the cap model, but for now I think that'll do. Okay, so now we're going to add some external detail to our torch body section. So we need some reference geometry. We're going to offset from the right plane, and we need to place our reference geometry on the outer face. So let's start sketching. So I'm going to put some grip detail into this model. So I begin by drawing a circle. Okay, I need to constrain by the origin. Select the, or maybe a plane. Let's go with top plane. So it's going to stick to this plane, but I can move it up or down. So let's offset our grip feature. Okay, so we're going to extrude out, or maybe in. Maybe let's extrude in up to the surface from our offset plane, and we'll go blind outwards by 0.5 as well. Maybe 0.2. Okay, so the beginnings of our grip feature detail. So let's add a couple of fillets. Okay, so we've put in our first rad, put in our second rad. So this is just a little kind of dimple section as part of our grip feature, but we need to build an array. So let's do a linear pattern. Let's take the three features that form this little grip feature. And let's perform a pattern up in the other direction, up the main body. You can see 10 mil, there's a 10 mil distance between each part. We've got 14 parts. So 14 here, you can see. Let's change that 13. Or we get away with 13. We have to think about other geometry we've modelled. So I know that the thread, the screw connections might interfere. So I've gone with 13. Okay, so now we need a circular array. So a circular pattern. So let's pick our center line if we can find it. There you go. Here's our center line. So the parameters, axis, features to pattern. So we really want just that linear pattern. Oh, we've got some geometry that we just don't want to include. So let's work out how we can get rid of geometry we don't want to include in the circular pattern. So click on instances to skip, and we can just skip by clicking those instances that we don't want to include. So a quick check to see if this is what I really want. And we're happy. So yeah, this looks more like a grip feature now. So we've added several, and we've not added any that we have to delete because we took care of that in the actual patterns. So let's just add, just to complete this sequence, this section of the videos, let's add some external rads. No, still that. Well, we're still adding rads. Select faces. I'll select both sides, and then we can add our external radiuses or radii.